police car. My second glance was at my speed. He stayed there, so I must have been okay. But they were doing their job.
My name is Dave Walsh. I live at 28 East Stewart Avenue. I'd just like to make a comment about the new sign out front here. I think it's a great sign. It gives us a lot of information for everybody coming through town. However, coming this way, heading out of town, you can't see it. Is there anything to be done about the tree out there, be trimmed or something so we can see it?
Yes, and I thought it was discussed Thursday, I don't know. The manager is currently looking at changing the landscaping out there to.
Okay.
Am I allowed to say something?
If it's on a different topic, certainly. I think you made your point on my appointment and council didn't respond. But if you want to address a different topic, you're more than happy.
Well, yeah, let's make this a better topic. This sign where it is, the tree that's obstructing the view there is on a little projection there. You come across the bridge and you're pretty wide. Then there's a couple parking spots there in front of the church. Then there's this projection sticking out, what is it, maybe 10 or 12 feet with the tree and all. If you take a look at the curbing, there's been a lot of tires that have hit that curbing. Just take a look and you'll see where, now I'm thinking if we're gonna take the tree out, maybe that curbing, that little section could be removed also. And the reason why I'm saying that is because my wife ran into that curb and I spent over $800 to get the rim and tire fixed on that. Of course, buying a new hubcap. And she's not the only one. If you take a look, you'll see that there's been a number of people that have. So what I'm saying is when you take a look at the tree, take a look at that whole small area there. Something.
I'll measure it. The other thing I would note is that the curbing in there, as well as all of that along which involves streetscape, that was all submitted and approved by PennDOT because it is a state highway. So anything we would do that would alter that traffic pattern, they would have to sign off on.
Well, you could bring it to their attention.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying for your information that there's more than just a borough involved. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, the trees that you were talking about, Mr. Walsh, are the two right here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the trees that you were talking about, Mr. Karate, are up here by the church.
When you're coming down across the bridge, you can't really see the sign.
Obstruction both ways.
Yes, you do.
Is there anyone else wishing to address?
I have. Jean Lynette Hollowell at 14 Avenue. I have a couple issues. My twins and I were down at the playground on Saturday, and I know that you guys are going to talk later on about the smoking ordinance down there. I was wondering if maybe something about pets being on the actual playground property could be added. There is a teenager, maybe probably about 16 years old or so, with a black dog on a leash. It was kind of controlled, but not really controlled. And he had him walking all over the playground. His parents were also with him, well, two adult figures were with him, who were also climbing on the playground, which they were way too big to be on this stuff. So I didn't know if maybe we could add something about pets being on the playground, because there's a hazard of children being bit by a dog, and the dog doing its business on the equipment, and then kids are climbing on that later. Also along that line, I was wondering if there was a possibility that a playground safety rule sign or something to that effect could be added to the playground with that information. And also, as Tracy and I were discussing, maybe having a contact phone number as to if there's maintenance issues. Because I personally myself wouldn't know who to call. She does because she works around that area, but I wouldn't know who to call if there was a piece of equipment that was on the verge of being broken or something like that. I also have a couple other issues. Kind of going along with Delana's, I live on Ridgeway Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare between main campus, College Avenue, and the townhouses and apartment buildings of Teal. Our road is really, really bad. And to the extent where if there are no cars parked on the parking side of the street, the students and Teal maintenance I've seen repeatedly will drive up the wrong side of the street. We also have a huge speeding issue, which I'm wondering if maybe Teal Police could have some kind of way of controlling that issue. It's really during that time of 2 to 5 in the nice weather. Because I'm like halfway down the street, and if it breaks it, my house hit the sign at College Avenue, really going a little too fast. We do have 10 plus children that live on the street, so I'm really concerned about my children's safety with that. I didn't know if maybe it would be possible or if it's ever done. I know that the majority of the street is residential, with Teal just owning the part of Davis Square and the dormitory at the end of the street. Maybe approaching Teal to see if they could maybe help offset the financial burden of repaving the street, because it is mostly their students that drive up and down the street. Do we keep on that different subjects?
Let me just get on a couple of other.
Okay.
We don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
First, in terms of the signage issue, I don't want to put on you, but I know Josh is on, I don't want to be on the playground committee. I know the playground committee has been looking at different signage, the numbers and so forth, so I'm sure you have a problem.
We could put a maintenance issue on the contract.
There's also another note about the story.
ENC or anything.
People have already started writing incentives and stuff inside the street, so I don't know if that. My 4-year-old asked me some questions.
My kids are not that bad, that's why I told going.
I'm sorry, can you?
I'm sorry, in terms of the dog issue, I know the issue, generally we already have ordinance as far as the requirement to keep them under leash and control. Whether we can or should tie that into this, whether it's somebody we can discuss that with. I mean, and then just other, before on the street issue, and I think I understand what you're saying about the speeding issue, and I don't disagree with you. I've gone to meetings at the David Miller Center, so I'm very well aware of the condition of your street. And I will tell you candidly that Dr. Van Aken has lobbied me on behalf of getting something done about that street with you. And, yeah, please don't put him on the spot on this, but he is talking to his board of trustees to see whether or not they would have any willingness to make an offer to the borough to help with that street. I don't want to speak out of school, I don't want to make you cry, but just in answer to your question, that has been thought about.
Okay. Another question I have with the approaching Time Warner contract. What plans does the borough have to kind of, I don't want to say it in this way, but for lack of a better term, kind of stick at the Time Warner to make sure that they're going to follow through with the service that we pay for? In the past couple of weeks, I have had issues with, it's actually been a couple of months, TVs that we paid, or channels that we pay additional money for high def, we have no audio. Channels that we also pay extra for my children, like Boomerang and Disney Junior, will just randomly go in Spanish, and they keep telling me that it's my TV settings, and it's not my TV settings, so you check them over and over again. Any TV that I have in my house that's not connected to the DVR box will freeze. It started out as just local, now it's every channel, just randomly freezes for up to 15 minutes at a time, probably it could be 20 times in an hour, but it's multiple times during that period of time. For me personally, I've only noticed it like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Other people have said that it's the whole entire time. And when you call customer service, they are not helpful. So I didn't know if there's something that, if we are going to sign another contract with them for that extended period of time to make sure we are somehow going to get the quality of the service that we pay for, because quite frankly, we pay too much for the services that we're getting now.
I just want to say that we had the same problems. They were good, the worst customer service of any company. And you know how we solved the problem? We went to DirecTV. We don't have any problems.
If I can answer your question. I think all of us who live in town have experienced the same kind of problem. That was part of the reason why this council a few months ago voted to retain a professional legal firm that specializes in cable contracts. It's not a given that we renew it with them, and Wilson's proposal, but we wanted to have the expertise so that we had someone it's easy for us, and particularly us, to anecdotally put the issues together,
Right.
but we want to make sure that we're actually continuing to bargain at the table to get the language and the commitments in the contract to make sure they actually follow through on addressing them. That's our intent.
My final question. I had submitted a letter of interest for one of the seats that you guys are going to talk about later on tonight. And the reason why I did this is after watching the video of last week's meeting, and I don't want this to sound as a personal attack because I was directed to point my questions to you. You had made the comment that the only reason why you took the enterprise seat was because you felt compelled because nobody else had applied for it. If indeed that was the case, then how come you didn't also appoint yourself to the code position that's open also?
Let me answer that. One, I didn't appoint myself to that right. And so I cannot appoint myself to the code. The reason my name was on there, and it's on tonight for council action, that appointment is an appointment that council has to make. So when I was, which I am serving on the current term now on the enterprise code, and when I was appointed on that term, it was because of the vote of council. I cannot appoint myself to the enterprise.
So a regular citizen can take the position?
Yes, it could. All I'm saying, when you said appoint yourself, I didn't appoint myself, council voted upon it.
Okay.
And as far as anyone else, is, as we advertise and try to get people to move forward, if you have concerns as far as looking at the agenda tonight and your name is not listed, it was no offense intended. What's been our practice, as long as I can recall, is that council has discussions at our work session about what makes up the agenda and what goes forward on the agenda, and that's how it's developed. I think in fairness, with some things that, if I were to have put forward a name for one of these positions and added it to the agenda today without council having known about it on Thursday, then we'd be here with me being accused of trying to manipulate the process. So all I did was follow the same process that we have always done. And I know there was a gentleman who had expressed an interest in the code appeals position, and as I discussed it with the manager as to what to do, all we're doing is deferring that for the council to consider in their July meeting, so it'll be on for the work session, because I don't feel, and the council can do what they wish when we get to that point, I don't feel that it's fair to council to drop something on them at the last minute. That's why we have a work session, so they have a chance to hash it. That's why we got the process.
We don't have like email communication amongst you guys? You can just add, because I'm sure the agenda gets changed periodically throughout between from the time it's made to the next.
Typically, the only thing that we have between Thursday and Tuesday is anything that is immediate and time sensitive. It cannot be delayed until the July.
Okay, so you didn't have to put a letter of interest in for the letter of interest, so you're going to go ahead and do it. Because you yourself stated in the meeting last week that I believe it was towards the YMCA board that you, after Bob brought up the fact that you were a very busy person, that you are on a lot of committees, and if somebody did come forward and wanted to take one of those, that you would be willing to step aside and let that happen. So in the meantime, since I watched that, that's what kind of irked me. If somebody doesn't have enough time to be on a committee, I personally will make the time, even though I have 3 small children, I will make the time to be on that committee. So I still, that's why I sent the letter in. And the response that we got, which personally wasn't sent to me, it was sent to Mr. Anthony Alfonso, and he told me was that the deadline was June 1st, the agenda was made, and with that said, I'm not going to add Amy Laurent follow-up or Robert Ferretti to the agenda and direct the questions to you. So my question is that still, are you still willing to step aside if people are coming forward with these positions?
That's